What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to more C4, where we react to everything Philadelphia Eagles post-game as the Eagles finally beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid, since he left Philly to Kansas City, has defeated the Eagles every single time. And, you know, it's nice. It's just nice to get. You can't make this game more than what it is, right? It's Eagles Chiefs in November. It's not Eagles Chiefs in February. It could very well be Eagles Chiefs February. This February, back-to-back Februaries. You know, there's no trophies. I think that was Josh Sweat or Hassan Reddick that was saying that before the pregame. That's like, you know, you don't get anything for winning this. It's a huge win. It's a big win because not only are you playing the Chiefs, you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs off a bye where Andy Reid is historically one of the best coaches of all time, if not the best coach of all time. Coming off a bye week, I think his record shows that. And the Chiefs were at home. And Philly, I would make the argument, Philly usually is one of those teams that's not particularly good coming off a bye. That's when momentum has historically. We're not a team that capitalizes at the bye. It's usually a slow, sloppy start, and that was kind of the case here today. But luckily, in the second half, the offense figured it out. The defense played well. The Chiefs couldn't make plays when usually they're a team that just finds a way to make plays. And 9-1, I think, at worst. And I mean, I've been spelling this for quite some time, especially if you follow me on Twitter, at PapaXC4. I've had Philadelphia number one in my power rankings all year. And I think now it's undisputed. Like, there is no other team that could be the best team in the NFL right now. It is the Philadelphia Eagles. And the fact that we got all this game healthy from the looks of things, we'll take that as a win. Wasn't pretty, but, you know, it almost just felt like it was the same thing. It was like the same game. We had a bad drive, they'd have a bad drive. We get a sack to end a drive, they'd get a sack to end a drive. We have a bad pick, they throw a bad pick. And I guess this matchup came down to Philadelphia's play calling. I think Philly probably should have pulled ahead a little bit with how well our defense played in the second half. Kansas City didn't get any points in the second half, which is gigantic. But I really do think our offense could have got more than 14. And I think it was pretty bad play calling. There was like three straight. Well, not three straight, but outside of a Jalen Hurts run. It was like first down, screen for 0 yards. Second down, screen, incomplete. Incomplete on a guy. And these are wide receiver screens. Third down, Jalen Hurts, like, I don't know what it was. I assume he just bailed out of the pocket, and there was a punt. And then we got the ball back, and then a screen to Julio Jones for 0 yards. Like, the play calling in the second half for the Philadelphia Eagles offensively, very, very surprising, especially with how well DeAndre Swift was running the ball, with how well I felt like Philly should attack the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Kansas City was blitzing all goddamn game, right? And I was a little bit worried in the first half. Like, is that how you defeat the sneak? You defeat the sneak by, you know, Philadelphia always says every single first down is first down and 9, right? So it was almost like Steve Spagnuolo was like, all right, we're going to treat first and second down like second and third down, and they're going to blitz the shit out of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they had a lot of success. Eagles offensive line gave up 5 sacks in the first half, but, you know, Jeff Stoutland, he definitely fucking gave all those guys an absolute shit-talking at halftime, and Philadelphia didn't give up a sack for the whole second half. And, I mean, it just felt like our bad play calling wasn't as bad as Kansas City's misplays. Like, obviously, the ball down deep to MVS, you just got to connect on that, especially someone like MVS. No, he doesn't have the best hands, but, like, that's, like, what he's good for. He's good for, like, one shot play out of nowhere. And luckily enough for us, it did not happen today. Travis Kelce had a pretty bad fumble. Also a little annoyed. I did bet on the Eagles' money line. Doubled my money. Felt pretty good about it, but I did have a little boost. It's a big win for Philadelphia, man. Huge stretch of games coming up. Started with KC after the bye. We got Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas, Seattle. And you can't really gas this game up for more than what it is, man. It's a good moral victory. It's a good getting the proverbial monkey off your back victory, but it's another division win. We got to handle business in the NFC now. And I don't think this team's going to, you know, approach it any different. It's just a nice one to win. Because what if we lost? What if somehow we lost this game and then say this coming February, it's Eagles, KC again. You just have all that pressure, all that mental gymnastics of like, we've never beat the Chiefs. At least you get kind of this one here saying like, it can be done. It can be done. And for whatever that's worth in November, it's nice to have. So let's get into our grades here because my voice is getting ready to go. A lot of yelling tonight. And luckily my daughter did not wake up, which is nice. Jalen Hurts, 14-22, 150 yards, had an interception. Got sacked 5 times, chipped in another 29 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And obviously, the first rushing touchdown, probably play of the game, I think. We'll give him credit on that. I think when Jalen Hurts tucked in and ran for, I don't even know what it was. Obviously, it was 10 yards, but a huge 10 yards in the red zone. For my opinion, that was the biggest play of the game. So I'm going to put some value on that. Interception wasn't pretty. I mean, Hurts and Mahomes likely, 1 and 2 for the MVP favorites right now, both with 2 touchdowns and a pick. And I guess if we're just comparing the two, Hurts' pick was less bad than Mahomes, with Mahomes throwing the interception to Kevin Byard in the end zone. Jalen Hurts' pick there, I think ultimately probably will fall on Jalen Hurts, but it did look like, and they showed during the broadcast, it looked like A.J. Brown called like a freaking audible. Like he was supposed to just run 10 yards and be there for Jalen Hurts to move the chains, and then he saw that he had a step that was kind of thrown up like hey, fuck it, throw it to me, I'll get a touchdown. And Hurts and him were on the same page. I think, I don't know, I imagine like Sirianni will get asked that, and they'll break that down in the coming days. But luckily, defense got an interception and a turnover from Mahomes, kind of broke even that department, which was pretty huge. So I think for Jalen Hurts, I think he gets an A. Wasn't a perfect game. I thought some of the times while he was under fire in the first half, those 5 sacks, slow processing. And I think that is a habit, I think, because he usually has so much time with the Eagles offensive line that when a game like this gets you off that rhythm, you can struggle a little bit. I think we saw some of that in Jalen Hurts, but I think for how he played in the second half, a couple big-time throws, especially the big one there to Devontae Smith to get on the one for the tush-push, the go-ahead score. Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time moments, and while not a complete game from Jalen Hurts, we don't win this game without Jalen Hurts, so he's getting an A. DeAndre Swift, 76 yards and a touchdown. Re-sign him. I know we don't pay running backs. I don't know if he's going to demand a huge price. It does seem like every time you ask DeAndre Swift, he's just like, yeah, it's the offensive line. I give full credit to the offensive line. I don't know if his agent is going to like him saying that, but it's a perfect fit, man. Philly guy, clearly loving his time being here versus, say, like, when he was in Detroit and kind of was just a victim of the Deuce Staley running back rotation. And I think we've seen enough of the DeAndre Swift to say, hey, let's keep this going. I would overpay. We saw Miles Sanders in a somewhat similar situation last year. Miles Sanders had some good production. He was in a contract year, but I think it's kind of obvious DeAndre Swift is a better player than Miles Sanders. I would like to see him get a contract. I would. And I know it's not. And he wouldn't. I don't even think you'd have to pay him enough that it would get oh my God, is Howie Roseman paying a running back? I think it would just be a reasonable contract. I don't think DeAndre Swift's going to go to the bank. I think, especially with the state of the top tier running back markets, with Saquon having his issues and Jonathan Taylor had his issues. I think Howie Roseman will figure something out, because DeAndre Swift has been awesome, an absolute game changer. Some of the screen passes he had today were clutch. 3 catches, 31 yards there, all on screen passes. It was a weird looking screen. I don't think we've ran it before, but it was highly effective. And I think, honestly, offensively, DeAndre Swift was our most important player. Even though Devontae Smith, 99 yards on 6 catches, was huge, especially stepping up like that with A.J. Brown, not really getting much going there. He only even had freaking 4 targets, which was, I think, I was very surprised with some of these play calling. There was, anytime it was second and third, I think it was a second and 12 and a second and 13. 2 different times. I think it was one the first half, one the second half. It was a designed Hurts run. You have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Kansas City has pretty good corners. They're not better than our wide receiver. Just get them the ball a little bit more. I thought that there were certain times in this matchup that the Philadelphia offensive play calling wasn't aggressive enough to, in the moment. You're in Arrowhead. Is that what they call it anymore? Didn't they change it? Whatever. You're in Arrowhead against fucking Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, against a team that you just lost to in the Super Bowl. You very well might meet them in the Super Bowl again if you can get back there. Call the game like Doug Peterson would have. In the Super Bowl, one of those types. And I felt like there was a couple passive play calls, which was rather unfortunate for A.J. Brown's case, because I think we should have utilized him a little bit more. And you're always going to say that anytime a bona fide wide receiver one, a guy like A.J. Brown who's in the MVP race, trying to keep pace with Tyreek Hill, has 1 catch for 8 yards. I'd like to think he's the kind of teammate that's all right, we got the win, don't really care, and he probably is. But I think in that case, DeAndre Swift was huge. Those 31 yards were gigantic. All of those were I believe 3 catches for 3 different first downs, or second longs making it 3rd and shorts. So I'm giving DeAndre Swift A+, and I think he's getting my game ball on the offensive side of the ball. Very, very important. Think he's done enough during a contract extension. Devontae, for the receivers itself, 99 yards, huge catches. We got 2 wide receiver ones, and while you never want to see that kind of stat line from A.J. Brown, just a weird, again, you can't really grade them poorly. There wasn't really any drops. Same can't be said for Kansas City. There wasn't really any fumbles or turnovers. Can't say the same for Kansas City. I think it was just a solid performance. I'd give them a B just because obviously you got to get A.J. Brown involved a little bit more. I think you could have trusted Jalen Hurts a little bit more with quick throws, kind of absorb the blitz and just get it out to A.J. Brown on some slants. You can run the slants as good as anybody in the NFL. And I don't really think we capitalized as much on that. So I don't want to poorly reflect the wide receivers for what I think ultimately was just not great play calling, especially calling some passing plays. So I'll give them a B. I think B's a fair score there across the board. But offensively, game ball going to DeAndre Swift for me. Defensively, made a tweet saying, man, it'd be a great day for Kevin Byard to make some plays. Exactly what happened, man. He had a really, really good showing. He was on, pretty much shadowed Travis Kelce. He had a bad, rough, the first opening touchdown drive for Kansas City. Byard had a couple mistakes. And there's one, he was run defending and just whiffed on a tackle. I don't know if it was a Kadarius Toney run or something weird like that. Might have been Pacheco. But obviously, huge interception. And anytime you hold Travis Kelce in check for under 50 yards and blowing up my bet, that's a great first game for Kevin Byard to justify the trade that we made with Tennessee. Because until this point, you got to be reasonable, right? Joining a team mid-season is going to be tough. And I feel like, honestly, a month is a reasonable grace period for okay, you can make mistakes, you can miss assignments. He missed assignment on the touchdown. That's what I'm saying. He lost track of the wide receiver. But then he made up for it with the interception on, was it Kelce? Were they trying to target Kelce? If not, it was Watson. And I don't want to say that's racist, but it was one of those two. Huge game for Kevin Byard, and hopefully this is the beginning. I think Reed Blankenship, he's pretty much a linebacker, man. As much as I love him getting in the right place, right time, show some instincts and coverage, he is an outstanding tackler, and I think, I don't know. I don't know if they're ever going to view him that way because maybe we'll just start running a lot of three safeties, or maybe we'll get a little bit more versatile with Sidney Brown. Ideally, you're going to have Byard, Blankenship, and Brown playing. You could probably have Reed play a little. He is a very good tackler, very good run defender, can lay the lumber. Zach Cunningham continues to be solid. Bradley Roby made a couple plays. He did get toasted on the MVS drop, which that's just a bad matchup. Not a lot of people can keep up with MVS. He's the height weight, at least one of the height weight speed kings in the NFL. But Bradley Roby punched out the Kelce fumble, which is gigantic, man. What a freaking play by him. Milton Williams before he left. I might have missed the update. There was friendly fire on Milton Williams, and we went out to get his head inspected. But I thought he was outstanding. Great run defender. Had a couple nice TFLs. He had one. I swear he had two, which is good. I thought Slay had a solid game for the most part. Son Riddick got the big sack. Josh Sweat pressures Jalen Carter, as quoted by Daniel Jeremiah, who's right up there, S-tier draft. He's Jalen Carter gets held on every single play. That's what happens when you're the most disruptive defensive lineman in this year's rookie class, and probably the last couple years that we've seen. I thought he had a pretty good game. Josh Jobe had a ridiculous tackle on a kickoff. I think for the most, and Fletcher Cox got some pressure. I think defense, outstanding. Had that one bad drive, which wasn't particularly good, but for the most part, A+. You held the Kansas City Chiefs to 0 points in the second half. They have struggled in the second half, but that's one of those classic. Of course, Kansas City is the worst second half offense, but Philly lets them be the make right game for all that. Off the bye week, they get 30 fucking points in the second half. Closed up shop. Sean Desai shouts up some of the haters here. I'm not an anti-Sean Desai guy. I think he's doing pretty well, even though I think the secondary as a whole can play a little bit better. Outstanding job from the defense as a whole here today. A+. Game ball. You got to give it to Kevin Byard, I think, all things considered. Had some downs, but the ups were way better than the downs and held Travis Kelce in check. Also, shout out Hassan Riddick. Hassan Riddick definitely was getting into Travis Kelce's head. They were talking mad shit for most of that second half, and I felt like when we needed a pass rush, Hassan Riddick, Josh Sweat, I don't know who was there on the intentional grounding, which pretty much sealed the game. I feel like that was Josh Sweat. Had him under pressure. But awesome, man. We are absolutely privileged to have Hassan Riddick and Josh Sweat at their current contracts, and hopefully their agents and Howie Roseman can keep everything together there, because that is very, very important for our defense. And outstanding win, man. At the end of the day, game ball Kevin Byard, game ball DeAndre Swift. Eagles 9-1. Finally, we beat Kansas City, but you can't make it much more than, now be proven with this game. We're the best team in the NFL, but with this upcoming stretch of games, Buffalo, 49ers, Seahawks, Cowboys. We got 4 really, really big games, and we had to go continue to prove that we are the best team in the NFL. But that is, man, awesome win. Awesome fucking win I'll see you guys back here next week. Let me know what you think about that win in the comments below. Huge. You know, are you going to be too cynical to be like, well, it's just MVS catches that, we lose? Are you going to feel like that? Or are you going to go, fuck this, we finally beat the Chiefs, they can suck it, and we're 9-1? Let me know in the comment section below. But until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out, love ya. Have a good one, like, subscribe. Go Birds.